Hi guys, today I'm making a vlog instead of writing a blog entry about a topic that's very personal for me, and I have been thinking about making this video for a long time, but because it is so personal, I hesitated, and then I decided that talking about the conditions that I have, which is a pre-diabetes condition called insulin resistance, and ultimately problems with metabolism. I wanted to put this out there, and I wanted to give you some inspiration, and I wanted to give you some thoughts about what I'm going through and what I have been advised to do. So my story starts maybe 8 years ago when I had other health struggles as well, and started to after an operation started to gain weight, especially around my tummy. I thought that was maybe due to bad eating. I at one point worked at a chocolate shop, so basically I had chocolates and sugary things and cakes for breakfast very often, and then throughout the day. And I would start feeling like I'd have hot flushes. Not that I knew what they were even at the time or anything. But just felt like, I had rosy cheeks. I felt really unsettled after eating chocolate or cakes or anything like that. And I felt really high, really like hyper for about half an hour. And then I crashed and I felt awful. My stomach was hurting and I felt I had no energy. So it was constantly like up and down, obviously feeling down. Next thing I would do is, I'd eat chocolate again to try and lift me, or drink coffee with 2 sugars, normal regular sugar, and then like a good big splash of milk because that's how I like it, or had a latte. And I just felt worse and worse and worse. And sick at one point. Really, I felt that something was not right. And still, I lasted a long time, like years and years and years, without properly investigating this because I was busy with other things in life. So, first of all, what I'd like to say is if you feel like you're exhausted all the time and after eating, um, you still don't feel better, you feel worse. I'm talking about carbohydrates as well, not just sugar, but obviously carbohydrates would transform into sugar um, in your body. So you'd eat bakery stuff or you'd eat bread and you feel sluggish and slow and literally feel sick and dizzy, then go and have your blood test run, including for blood sugar as well, because you're very likely to have something wrong in that department. So insulin resistance is not diabetes, and they call it pre-diabetes because it's actually the condition that leads to it. There is a thing called the HUMA index, which basically is the measurement for how your body is able to deal with the sugar, break down the sugar that gets into your body from unrefined sugars and carbs. Mine is really high. I think mine is 4.8, and from 500 you are diabetic. So just to give you an idea, I think if it's around like a 3 or lower, you're fine. You just need to be careful. But anything above, and definitely anything above 4, you'll have problems with. And there are of course going to be a bunch of other things on your blood results that could be alarming. It's not just about your sugar levels. I think this is an important point as well. So even if you happen to have a tester at home for checking your blood sugar, it might be perfect even after eating, just like mine is. I wake up in the morning, I have my breakfast, I check my blood sugar, and it has always been normal. It's always in the region of 4.5, in between 4.5 and 5.5, on occasions it has been higher due to stress, or I really had something sugary or whatever. It's sometimes hard to know, but if you have insulin resistance, your blood sugar will still be normal, but your metabolism in the meantime is not going to be normal. And that's why the basically the sugar that your body cannot break down is going to be stored around the tummy area. So they usually say that if you're heading for type 2 diabetes, you're going to start having this apple shape to your body, which is what happened to me. I wasn't able to really fit into my jeans anymore, switch to good old leggings and comfy stuff and jogging bottoms and skirts with elasticated waist and like do anything. And really, really, I suppose I was in a bit of a denial, considering that in my family, on my mother's side, everyone has diabetes. And if this is you, don't wait, because it's very, very likely that you are gonna have some sort of issues with it. Let's not call it struggle, let's not call it problems, but just issues with it. And you need to be careful about it, because hit 30 and over, the body changes anyway. Metabolism starts to slow down, all sorts of, things start happening that we don't want. Collagen goes from the skin, the first wrinkles appear, but that I could deal with a couple of wrinkles, but I can't deal with the fact that if I'm not careful, then I'm gonna start putting more weight on, be really overweight. My blood sugar is gonna go all over the place. My ability to have kids is gonna, basically become um, um, less and less, and I'm not doing anything against it. So fast forward a number of years, and there I am having my blood sugar checked and my test taken for various other things, and I was diagnosed with insulin resistance and being given a medication. Depending where you are in the world, it will have different names. I think in my country there is like 3 or 4 perhaps types of medicine that you can take for this, all containing metformin, which I'm not a doctor or anything, neither I claim to be, but it does seem to be a very, very, very strong medication, can only be prescribed by your doctor and taken next to close surveillance. So you'll have to go back, you'll have to keep a food diary. The side effects are as long as my arm and longer, really, from migraines to sickness. Diarrhea is a given, as it's meant to speed up your metabolism. Feeling weak, feeling dizzy, depression, feeling unfocused, this end of the world um, attitude and kind of feeling that you will get is all to do with the fact that it really does mess up your body, in a sense that it will speed up metabolism, because on its own it's not gonna do its job. And so instead of dealing with the sugars, breaking down the sugars, entering your body starts storing them, and it kind of pushes other things out of balance as well, and it's very dangerous. Ultimately, will lead to diabetes. You also have to know that, and this is what I wasn't aware of, although I read a lot on the topic, and I have been eating without sugar for a long time, but after taking metformin for medication for insulin resistance for 3 months, I've been promised to lose 1.5 stone, 2 stones, so 10 to 14 kilos, a lot of weight. And then they said it was going to be fairly easy. I just had to make sure I eat carefully and and I work out or do some sort of sports, cardio-based exercises 3 times a week. So I did that, and despite of all the side effects the medication was having, I'd go to the gym and 3 times a week, 3 to 4 times a week, did my thing, did my cardio exercise, and was watching what I was eating. I mean, I hadn't touched chocolate normal in normal form, or even a cocoa drink or a hot chocolate in a year and a half anyway, because obviously I was a health and I am a health conscious person. So many things were off the list, but now I try to really focus on what I've been told by the dietitian, who I consulted, got hold of her on the phone, and she gave me a long chat about what I can and can't eat. 180 grams of carbs for one day. It was 180 grams of carbs is like 3 bread rolls or something. Like it's not a lot at all when you look into it. So anyways, I went for it and I tried to look up things that I can eat. Being a positive thinker, I thought, well, if anyone can do it, I can do it. And the good news is you don't have to run hungry, because you're eating 5 times a day and you're going to be fine. Just eat 5 times a day, small portions of food that is good for you. So fruit and veg and meat, protein, etc. So I went ahead and I lost, in 2 months, I lost about 10, 12 kilos. And then the weight loss stopped. And it completely stopped. So I carried on with my routine, with my diet that I thought was good. And carried out the 3 months period for this medication, then went back for a checkup. I didn't expect the best of results because somehow I felt like, first of all, I didn't reach my goal in weight, although I have lost a lot, but I still didn't lose as much as I was meant to lose. Secondly, I didn't feel much better, and just kind of being an intuitive person anyway, I had this feeling that this was not going to be enough. I went back and had another blood test, and of course, the results came back worse than first time round, and I felt very emotional when I saw that my humor index that I mentioned at the beginning got worse. So now it's 4.9, between 4.7, 4.9, depending what day you check, but it's bad. And it's really heading towards that point where you cannot turn it back and you're going to be diagnosed with diabetes. So I was referred to another doctor, another dietitian, who asked me to make a diary about what I eat and when I eat it, and when I work out, what's my daily routine. Due to my work, obviously I'm doing a lot of good stuff, and being, a coach, I'm running around a lot. And then, but there's like parts of my job which is doing my website. When I sit at home and I work on my computer, I make my own timetable. So I happen to start my day really late. So it's not unusual for me to get up at 10 a.m. or half 10. And, I won't get into bed until way past midnight, 1 a.m. in the morning. So if I get up at 10, I won't eat anything most likely until midday, and I skip breakfast. But the one thing I would have is a really milky coffee or a latte. And then have lunch at 2 or 3 and snacks in the afternoon, even if they are healthy snacks. But still I'll have snacks and seeds and fruit, and then I'll have a really late dinner with my family, all over the place basically. So I have been told, and this is the important part, if you have this condition, if you want to keep your metabolism at a good level and you want to keep it working, first of all, you have to eat. Starving is not an option. Skipping meals is not an option. If you don't eat 5 times, at least eat 3 times a day. And here's the hard part. The first meal you're meant to have between 6:30 and 8 in the morning, because this is when your body naturally wakes up with the sun. This is how we have been designed, and you need to have that meal, the first meal, in the morning. 9 to 12 carbs. So I'm talking about one bread roll, multi-seed, or well, anything but just not white bread. White bread is like the enemy. So you have a small bread roll with avocado or something on it, or just a little tiny little bit of butter or something. And then instead of coffee, you cannot have coffee, you have to have tea, because tea ultimately, um, green tea will have caffeine in it that you need to get going, but it won't have lactose in it and sugars that come from that. I never even really thought about the fact that one deciliter, so like one small portion of milk, will have 5 grams of carbs in it. That's a lot when you can only have 180 a day. In my case now it's 140 to try and really kick this thing in the butt. If you have a latte, you take in around 10 grams of carbs, which is shocking. And you go to Starbucks or wherever and you order a large latte, that's really, really bad for you if you have this condition. So switch that to tea, um, early in the morning. That is a huge challenge. That's what I'm doing right now. Setting my alarm, getting up really early. When I have my stepdaughter here, obviously she gets up, kids get up at 7, so she's like running around and jumping on the bed at 7 anyway, so it's slightly easier. But then I don't want to eat. Like eating at that point is ridiculously hard, and I'm not enjoying it. And this is the other thing. You won't necessarily eat for enjoyment. You eat because that's what's good for you. That's how you need to look at it. You have to reprogram your mind. So first thing in the morning, have something to eat. You can have an apple, but because there is sugars in fruit as well, and there's like a lot of fruit that is off the list, the sugary ones. Seasonal for the autumn, forget it. Grapes, figs, you can forget about them basically. Plums, forget it. Um, Switch to citruses, and apple is one that's like a jolly joker. But even with that, you have to have some whole grain. Just one piece of whole grain cookies or crackers. So you actually, when you eat the sugar, the whole grain will help to transform that into sugar, and actually help your body to break it down. So then if you want, you can have a midday snack. Extremely careful. If you want to have your coffee that you missed in the morning, like I do, then that's all you can have. So midday snack is like my latte. And then moving on to lunch, small portions, tiny portions of meat, and then tiny portions of veg, whatever you eat. If you have a special diet, you're going to really have to work around it. If you eat carbs, you have to really be conscious of portion. No, just like chucking bread onto your plate or pasta onto your plate. I have also been told, and I looked into it, and I tend to really believe it now, that all them products that are on the shelves for huge money, and I have myself spent huge amounts on various diet food or food for diabetics, sugar-free food, pasta that's made of all sorts of things and reckons to have no carbs in it, which I'm sure it doesn't. But really, um, you don't have to spend all of that money. I think if you buy whole grain, normal whole grain pasta, durum pasta, you will have the same effect. So don't think that your condition will mean that you have to spend a lot more on food. I think it's just about what you spend on, and what you're going to leave out a lot of things anyway, because you can no longer have them. And so you'll have a bit more for quality food. And if you eat carbs, eat quality carbs. So eat nice pasta, even though just a handful of rice. 5 to 6 spoonful of rice is all you can have. 5 spoonful of tablespoon, that is a spoonful of pasta is all you can have. If you have breadcrumbs, like I was told, you can even have that, but you can't then have pasta with your meal. So if you want to have like anything covered in breadcrumbs and fried, that's all you can have. So your diet from now on will have to look different, completely different, and you have to just reprogram your mind and just go with it, because that's the way that your metabolism is going to start going back to normal. A mid-afternoon snack is usually what I do have, and that's when I have fruit. It's very important to have fruit and have it for the pulp in it as well, and also the vitamins, minerals, all sorts of things that you won't otherwise get. And once you break up your afternoon having a piece of fruit with a little couple of pieces of crackers, you won't feel so hungry. Do not reach for the yogurt pot, the sugary fruity yogurts, or even the Activia or any kind of unflavored yogurt. No, can't. You can't have it from here on because of the lactose in it. And it's healthy and it's the best thing in the world, and I love it for the calcium and for everything, and I love the taste, and it's good for your digestion. But in this case, if you have insulin resistance and you don't want it to turn into diabetes, then you cannot have it anymore. You just can't. So stick to fruit and veg very carefully. On the internet and everywhere, you will find really good, accurate list of what contains what and what can you have and what can't you have. And it's a little bit of an effort, but it's quite easy to get the hang of it. Okay, then the last meal of the day should happen at the latest around 8:30, which is also difficult. Obviously, no snacking in front of your favorite series, or no snacking in the movies, no popcorn, no chocolate, no M&Ms, no none of that. That's gonna say hi to you from the counter when you go there, like nada. You cannot have it, but you do have to have dinner, because otherwise you're not gonna be able to sleep, and you're not giving your um, digestive system and your metabolism anything before you go for the long sleep at night. We should be in bed by 11 p.m. Another hard thing for me, because that's not what I'm used to, but that's what should happen, because between 11 and about 4 or 5 in the morning is when our body recovers. Liver function, kidney function, your whole metabolism, hormones. I'm not a doctor, but any dietitian will explain to you how important sleep is. A deep sleep between 11 and 5 in the morning. And that's how you're going to be able to kick this thing in the butt. Oh, one more thing I didn't mention of what you can't have, and I used to have. Diet drinks. Sugary drinks, obviously, goodbye. I mean, don't even think about it. Coke is so addictive anyway, in every shape or form. You don't want it. But sugary drinks are really, really um, just the enemy, for the reason that carbonated drinks, carbonated sugary drinks, I mean, there's nothing in them. Just when you think about that, the one thing they have is they taste good. And of course, they're going to give you a boost because they're full of not just sugar, but other stuff that really makes you hyper. Now, the diet versions of them are not so bad. Personally, for me, carbonated drinks, even the diet versions, would just create bubbles in my belly. So I'd just be bloated and just feel like rubbish anyway after drinking them. A diet Coke is allowed, for example, but that has a lot of caffeine. So again, something to be careful with. And it's also addictive. So diet Coke is also addictive. It's like normal Coke in that sense. What was shocking for me is juices. You can't have fruit juice either, not even the diet version, because it would still have carbs in them. But when you want to lose weight, the other thing you need to consider is that a lot of dietitians will tell you, okay, this is what you can and can't have, lower your carbs, and then you start losing weight. But I've been told to eat so many foods, like, traditional heavy meals, meaty dishes. You can have all that because they don't contain a lot of carbs. But what they do contain is calories. So I kind of I wasn't in the right mindset really about the whole thing, because I was lowering my carbs for a long time, and then I was eating food that was cheese, for example. You can have cheese. Yes, I love cheese. You can really have cheese. You can have cheese. Um, Hard cheese is more than soft cheeses, but basically you don't have to shut that out. But cheese is really, really fattening. And not mentioning that it also has lactose in it, although a different form. So for some reason that's allowed, except for the calories. So you're not only counting carbs, you have to be mindful of the calories that you're taking in. These are all the mistakes that I have made. So basically, I'm now back to round two, taking the same medication in a slightly different dosage as well. And keeping to getting up early, giving my system something to work on, and then throughout the day, really sticking to eating at least 3 times and having snacks of fruit mainly. I mean, I dare not even touch anything else than apple at the moment, because I don't want to ruin my chances to have a healthy and long life. This really isn't just about looks, but that doesn't help, of course. For a woman to start getting rounder and rounder. I have a wonderful fiance, and he's like, "Hey, whatever you do, like, you just look amazing anyway." He is so lovely and supportive, but the scales don't lie, and you don't have to eat a lot on this condition to completely mess your metabolism up even further if you don't eat the right things. It's going to be a very emotional journey if you have insulin resistance, and you're gonna feel low. And this is why I wanted to make this video. You're gonna feel alone. You go home from the doctors, and within 2 days of taking the medication, the novelty wears off for others. Your family, your friends, they will not necessarily ask you on an everyday basis, but for you, it's part of your everyday life. You're not on your own, and you're doing this for yourself, and you are doing it. And the good news is that if you have insulin resistance, it doesn't mean you are gonna have diabetes. you can turn it back. We can turn it back. So I'd like to hear from you guys if you are in similar situation to me, or if you want to discuss anything about it. I want to see your success story, and I want to share my success story with you as and when it happens, or in its progress, in its everyday um, situation, basically, as it is, you know. It's not an easy thing, and it's the most emotional thing ever, like with every condition. But with this one, you don't have to be sick from it. You don't have to head for diabetes. It's just about being mindful of what you eat, being mindful of how you live, and get yourself to the gym, even if it's super hard to get up in the morning, because doing cardio exercises also speeds up metabolism. So the combination of medication, food, and exercise will really help you. Food is on the first, though. 70% is what you eat, and only 30% of how you live and how you work out. So diet is the key for this condition. And for me, it's also about believing in getting better and being positive and never ever ever giving up. So now I'm on round 2 of medication, so here comes 3 more months of trying and living it every day. So I want to wish you good luck if you have this condition, and like I said, share it with me, and let's see how we can help each other. And never forget to believe in yourself, and never forget to smile. Have a lovely day, you guys, and I will speak to you soon.